Yo, what's up, Mark? And congratulations to episode number 10.
What's up, Lucas? Let's go. 10 DS. Let's
I'm
go.
excited. All right. So, Mark, I actually want to start with, when you out of a sudden walk anywhere and out of a sudden you see everything, the one thing just pops up. Maybe a car, like a yellow car, because you were talking about something,
Yeah.
Exactly that was happening to me the other day when I was walking Kita. So I was just like looking at her harness, and she has a K9 harness, like a Julius K9 harness.
Yeah.
Something that we also like gifted to our parents, right? To Sajmo. So Sajmo is the dog of our parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, wait, there's another dog with a K9 harness. There's another one. And I was just like mind blowing. And since then, I've saw it like every morning. Like most of the dogs here in Barcelona have it. I was just like, wait, I have to research this company. By the way, Mark, this bias is called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. So yeah, quite interesting.
Yeah.
It's also based as a
Also called
cognitive
frequency
bias.
illusion, right?
Yes, it's just like you see a thing, you see it often, and then you just like see it everywhere. All right, so I did my research on Julius K9. Like, how long do you think this company exists? Like in my mind, I think like, man, this company exists like I don't know 2-3 years. But what is your guess?
I'm gonna say 10 years because I remember seeing it before. Cedric said already has it for at least 6-7 years, so I'm gonna say 10.
Right, not even close. So it was founded in 1997 in Hungary by a guy called
Hungary?
Sebo Gulu or Gul. I'm probably pronouncing it very badly. And actually, the first few years, it was
Totally
just
butchered that name.
Yeah, completely butchered that one. It was only focused on police dogs and military dogs. Like the first few years, it was just like just police dogs, etc. Do you know how actually the name came by? Like Julius K9. What is your guess?
I have no idea. I mean, K9 is because K9 that's dogs, but no, I don't know why Julius K9.
Actually, it's not because K9 is dogs. So basically, Julius is because Sebo is the German Christian version of like Julius. So you basically use that one, so it's Julius, and then K9 is actually because Sebo, like the owner, the founder of the company, got his first dog at the Calle Street 9, so like K9. So that's why he came up with that. Of course, later he spun it to like a K9 with the teeth of dog, etc. But I thought it was like super interesting. And yeah, then also Mark,
That's funny.
how many harnesses do you think they have sold so far? Like, man, it is for me mind blowing.
1 million.
Bro, come on, 1 million harnesses?
I know, bro. That sounds a lot to me.
All right, so they sold over hundreds of millions of harnesses. They have right now 500 employees. They're they're based in Hungary, but actually at the first company, like the first were based in Vienna. Quite interesting.
Okay.
And so why does this actually fascinate me, right? It's not only because I saw it one day and I just want to do the investigation, but it's also because like seeing this story for me was like super fascinating, because people always talk about the get rich fast scheme, right? Like the best way to get rich is the fast way. But he did the opposite. So like for example, he built it brick by brick. So actually talking about brick by brick, that reminds me of the three bricklayer analogy. Do you know how it is? Or
What is
should
that?
I explain it quickly?
No.
All right.
Tell me.
So basically there's a man walking past three bricklayers. They do the same job, but they have three different completely experiences, right? So the first one is crouched and annoyed and says like when the man asks, so what are you doing? He says, I'm laying bricks to feed my family. He's pretty annoyed. Then the second one is just like half standing up. And he's like, I'm a builder. I'm building a wall. All right? Doesn't sound too bad. And the last one standing super straight up and just says like, I'm building the house of God, right? So wait, what is like the meaning of this, right? So the first one hates his job, does it just for doing it. The secondary is just a mercenary, so he's just hired to build something. And the last one is like, feels like his job is a calling. So the same as Julius, right? The founder, normally people after 5 years or 6 years when the company starts, they like get tired of it because they don't see it growing that fast. They're imagining something else. But man, he sees it as a mission, right? He's just a missionary, like has a calling, and like man, this guy is building the
Yeah.
company for 26 years. Like the first few years, they're literally just doing it for police dogs and military dogs. I mean, they even started building like
Really?
Kevlar harnesses. Yeah, in 2000, they started building, yeah, like protection, like for stabbing wounds and bullet protection for the dogs. So it's like super super cool. But this guy is clearly like a missionary, or like, so I really really like that one. And it also shows that
Yeah.
attitude is the most important. Well, the attitude is the most important part. And of
Yeah.
course playing the long term game, because in the end, like he could have stopped after a few years, but he just kept going and kept going at it, and now he has 500 employees, and it's probably the biggest harness company here in Europe, at least. So yeah, I really
That's
really liked it.
crazy.
Oh, also they have now tick repellents. I actually sent it to mom. So
Oh, yeah, I
it's
saw
like
that in
a
the group chat. That looks super
ultrasound.
cool.
Yeah, it's like an
How does it
ultrasound.
work?
So it's a sound wave that dogs nor humans can hear, but it's distracting for ticks as well as other parasites. So they like lose their orientation. But yeah, I mean,
But
this
is it like the
guy,
classic
I'm
wing,
not sure. I
or is
mean,
it?
let's see.
Yeah.
Let's see what the parents will say, right? But this guy reminds me of Jensen Huang. So Jensen Huang is the founder of Nvidia, who has like an Nvidia tattoo on his left
Yeah,
shoulder.
yeah.
I'm sure this guy has a K9 tattoo on the other shoulder.
Fucking
But yeah,
killer. Stone
no,
cold
but
killer.
for me, my future prediction, I think this guy just keeps on like coming up with new products and hit it out of the park. And yeah, I really, really like that company.
Awesome. That's super cool. I like it. I mean, we use it. We have it at home. So
Yeah, highly
good find,
recommendable.
bro. I like it. All right. All right. So I got something now. So I mean, we've all been there, right? Either it was in university or at work, or in school. It's time for group work. Everyone fucking hates that because
free
there's
riders.
always exactly, there's always free riders. There's something that does not work, man. You're like, why can't we just focus on the common goal, get the shit done, and be done with it? So, which got me thinking. I mean, we've had it in the past, in university as well as at work. Like, hey, we wanted to accomplish this goal, but somehow it wasn't as productive as we wanted it. So I was like, got me thinking. So, what is the like signs of a dysfunctional team? So I did my research and I found a cool model from Patrick Lencioni. You can find it also in the show notes, and it's the 5 dysfunctions. And these are like the 5. So first of all, I want you to guess what are the 5, and then please look on the document, and then we'll go over it.
All right. No clear communication. I would say this is that was one. Then the second one, if somebody is like controlling, like a control freak, I think that's also one. Right. So clear communication, like well, non-clear communication, then control freak. Yeah, I think like these are already two big ones in my mind. What is another one? What's the freeloaders? Maybe more clear, like separation of like who does what, right? So basically defining each role, because I think that's really important. Because otherwise people are like, oh, that's my job. Oh no, this is my job. I would just stick with the 3. The rest I would
All right.
like pulling
Well,
out of my
I'll
ass.
come to help you now. Come for the rescue.
Please save me.
Superman. All right. So these are the 5: absence of trust, fear of conflict, lack of commitment, avoidance of accountability, and inattention to results. So
I said
I mean,
0.
in high school
Nice.
or in university, it also usually already starts at absence of trust, right? Because the team just lacks the trust to conceal weaknesses and mistakes, hesitate to ask for help, and jump to conclusions about the intentions of others, hold grudges, and dread meetings. That's usually already number 1, because in these kind of environments, everyone just usually wants to do something by himself, get done with it. They have their own schedules. That's already the first one that's lacking in university. I feel like later on in life, when you work in the company, that usually is already there. So second one is fear of conflict. So that's like a lack of trust leads to the fear of conflict. in like in these companies, usually the employees, they fear politics and personal risk management. And so the meetings are usually super boring and controversial.
Yeah.
So they just don't want to avoid all that stuff, right? They're just like don't want to deal with this. They're like, hey guys, I don't want, I don't know, I don't trust the people. If I show my opinion, etc., maybe I get punished. So this is one of the things that big companies really have problems with because there's so much politics in there. I think this is not a big one that is in universities because you don't have this role in terms of hey status, etc. But I think this one is a big one in companies, and this is something that they need to work on. Then the third is lack of commitment. I mean, we've been there, right? Like we've been in that university class or something. You're like, you know what?
I don't know what
I
you're
don't think
talking about. I was always the high
exactly.
performer. Every group work. I was never a freeloader. Talk about yourself, bro.
All right. So, I mean, this is all. By the way, I didn't mention this before. This is all built on a pyramid, right? So, absence of trust is the
Yeah.
base, and then it goes further down. The third is like lack of commitment. So, when the team becomes a conflict avoidant and a failure develops, these teams have difficulty making decisions and second guess themselves. So, if you
Yeah.
reach already this state, and then it's just like a question of lack of commitment. Then the next step is avoidance of accountability. So at that point, it's like second guessing and the lack of common objectives that lead to an inability to develop standards for performance. Team
So my
members
question
miss
there.
deadlines and deliver mediocre work. I think that a lot of not a lot of companies, but maybe startups or smaller teams are lacking there because they don't have this. They don't have deadlines, or maybe they have deadlines, but they're just like, all right, get it done. So
Isn't
there's
that
not
also
real
the
standards.
problem of? Isn't it also
Yep.
then if you lack, like for example in a startup, right? If you don't have to clearly communicate the mission, because then you have like not a common objective, right? The one just wants to work for the 40 hours to get the job done. At 6, they like close their laptop. But if you communicate
100%.
clearly, then you don't have that, for example, accountability, right? Like as we always say, hey, I don't care if you work 40 hours, 60 hours, or 30 hours, as long as you get your job done, right?
I know, I
And it's
agree,
all
I
about the
agree,
sprint planning.
100%. I mean, it's also something that in the past we had to develop, right? And I think that was
Oh
super
yeah, of
interesting
course.
because I could see the parallels. And this is brings to the fifth, the highest part of the pyramid, is the inattention to results. When the team
Yeah.
lacks focus and clear objectives, team members stagnate, become distracted, and focus on themselves. So this is, I think, this is what you were talking about, the mission as well. It's when you reach the rest and the accountability is done for, then you have a clear objective in terms of, hey, where to see yourself, where are we going, etc. But I find this super interesting because people always say, hey, mission is super important. But it is, don't get me wrong, but these other things are all based on trust. If you don't trust the team, you don't trust to be yourself, you have a fear of conflict, thereby you have a lack of commitment. And if you don't commit yourself, you're going to avoid accountability. And then the result will therefore be shitty. So I think
Yeah.
this is a super interesting concept that everything is based around trust. And I think a lot of people should take this into account and then have these kind of exercises that build trust within the team. And I think this is why it's super cool that we did this, even though we didn't know this, that we had like team building once a week for an hour, which I highly recommend to everyone that is doing something either in university or something. Go out for drinks, do something to socialize and build trust with these people. And this will for sure make it much, much easier and better in the next group work that you have to do.
But question, didn't we already know that before? Because I mean, like from our experience before, and I mean, it's not that we have not listened to any books about this before. Jack hasn't.
Yes and no. I mean, we have, but I think it's super interesting that it's a pyramid, that it all
Yeah.
lacks based on the trust, and that these is the result of it, right? You have like you have it like this. So I thought that was super cool. So I mean, this is it for me on my part, Lucas. But I
I mean, it's
heard you
similar
have
to,
another
so
good
basically,
topic.
basically is a Maslow pyramid of needs just for teams. So let's start with Maslow pyramids of needs, right? So the bottom you have the physiological needs, so breathing, food, water, shelter, clothing. So it's like the very basic needs, right? And then on top
Yeah.
you have like safety and security. So safety and security would be, of course, like employment, health, etc. Then on top, love and belonging, right? Everybody wants to be part of a tribe, a group. I mean, that's why some people just go to a volleyball group, right? Because they feel like they belong to it, or they go
Yep.
dance salsa, bachata, Because people with similar interests and they can connect with them. Now, on top of it is self-esteem. So self-esteem is just like respect of others, like their own like confidence as well as achievements. And last but not least is this self-actualization. So the self-actualization is basically the morality, creativity, and just like
Basically, the desire to
acceptance.
become the most that one can be, right? That's what it
Yes,
is.
exactly,
So,
exactly. But if none of the bottom ones are given, you will never be able to do that, right? So if, for example,
yeah.
if physiological needs are not met, like you can't even think about like all the other stuff because you're just like, man, the only thing I care about is just having a roof over my head to sleep. But yeah, and I'm
No, it's
similar.
true.
I
I
would
think, yeah.
no, I see like similarities between the two, right? Between the Maslow's pyramids of needs as well as the like pyramid of dysfunctional teams. If you don't have trust, of course, like how would you ever care about the other stuff, right? But yeah.
No, 100%. It's super interesting. I think you can also, I find it interesting if you know Maslow's hierarchy of needs, you understand people better in terms of where
Yeah.
they are in the pyramid. So if they don't have the basics, they're not never going to achieve the rest. And I feel
Yeah.
like the same you can do with teams. So if you understand this pyramid of the 5 dysfunctions of a team, then you'll understand where they are and what is lacking.
Yeah.
And based on that analysis, you can then give these people what they need, which I think is super, super cool. And I liked it a lot.
Also, Mark, yeah, and I think that's really great. But also, like coming back to Maslow's needs, like the pyramid, I think like we like saw it on ourselves, right? When we started our company, and we didn't have any salary, didn't know how to pay the next month, right? I mean, we did it for a few years, right? So like they were not. I'm still not thinking about traveling, and all the other things that I, in theory, might want to do. But right now, I'm so focused like on like fulfilling the other needs first that this is not like right now the
I don't know.
priorities.
I want to disagree on this one, Lucas, because I think this is not based on Maslow's needs, what you were describing. For me, because I mean, all these things were always met for us, right? I think this is something that goes back to the family situation, how you were raised, etc., and what you achieve. Like we could do what we achieved because we had these things covered, right? We had the physiological needs covered, safety needs. Also, we were in an apartment, etc. Love and belonging, obviously, friendship, family, etc. We had this. I mean, esteem. I think this at some point we achieved, like we're getting to self-actualization because we want to be better each day, and I think that's why, because of that, we were able to do what we did and basically live like cockroaches and do it because we had these achieved, right? Because no, it's true though. I mean, we did Airbnb and all that stuff, but it's just because we had these covered that we were
Thank
able
you,
to do so. And I
Airbnb, for
think
sponsoring our first 2 years of our startup.
exactly, superhosts
And
here,
got me
or
banned.
former
God damn
superhosts.
it.
I know you got banned, bro. You got sloppy. You got sloppy. So no, 100%. So I think I disagree on that part of you. Yeah, I think that traveling has nothing to do with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I just think it's because we had these based on our circumstances that we were able to do what we did.
Agree to disagree, but that's fine.
Well, okay, we'll put a poll in there so the listeners can decide who was right, Mark, the wise turtle, or Lucas, the young buck.
God damn it. All right, man. I think that's a pot. Catch you in the next one.